Hey guys, it is June 12th on a Thursday afternoon or evening. I wanted to make a video. I've been getting a lot of people asking, should they get the Microjimbo in 15V? I felt like I should just make a video to kind of, link people toward it, mainly out of laziness because I don't like to type too much. Maybe I should do a voice note, but either way, I thought if you're curious, this might be helpful for you. As far as background on me, I used to be an avid knife collector. I used to try to get all the new releases, try to collect a bunch of stuff, but honestly, for my lifestyle and budget, that's not feasible. So I pretty much condensed it down to stuff I use, stuff I love, stuff that means something to me. And this isn't a layout to show off what I have. It's more showing what I generally carry and use. The most being this Delica. This is the one I've had the longest probably since I started collecting knives. Then this is a Demco 8020. This is a gift in 3V. It has been slightly reground, a little bit thinner, but not too much. But I've had this for a while. And then this was also a gift. I've been using 15V steel since it was released by Spyderco when the Manix 2 came out in it. I had the Manix 2. I had a couple of them. I won't get into that. And then this was also a gift. Really fun, fidgety, budget-friendly knife. Fidgety is not really my thing, so I can't really speak on that, but this does seem pretty fidgety. Bunt locks really aren't my style, but I know they're a favorite of others. And finally, the Microjimbo in 15V. I love using Wharncliffes for my line of work. I try to if I try to purchase and buy a tool and keep it, I try to justify it somehow. And in my line of work, having a utility type blade is very beneficial, and I am a sharpener, so steel does mean a lot to me. And the reason I have more Spydercos and generally buy more Spydercos is, to me, they provide the best production value and for heat treat and steel variety, I guess. I really feel like they're the best user knives that they sell out there as far as mass production. Obviously, there's so many customs and other brands out there that I can't really think of, but to me, Spyderco makes the best user knives for their average person. Prices have gone up, unfortunately, but I still feel like there's value in it, especially if you like a knife with good heat treat. Some of the overseas stuff, and I mean, for a while they just came in M390. I could say that they're not the best. Would an average person notice the difference? Absolutely not. But for a sharpener who notices differences in steels and how long they last, how well they deburr, I feel like Spyderco is pretty much up there for me as far as production knives. And so I really fell in love with 15V. Number one, its edge retention is excellent. Number two, even though it's not a rust-resistant knife, it's not like a stainless. I like, for example, this. I've never oiled it, and since it's released last year, no oil. I don't really cut food with it, so that's not an issue for patina. But I have not had an issue with any sort of rust on it or corrosion. This one I've pretty much dealt the same way. I haven't oiled it or anything. I do wipe it off once in a while, but very closely you'll see a little bit of spots that I can get off. It's kind of hard to catch on the camera. There's like little spots here where some corrosion's occurring, some oxidation. So, tool steel doesn't bother me. Of course, your situation and your use may be different. So, I do like the added toughness and the carbides that tool steels provide, especially 15V. Another thing is carbides. It's that toothy stuff in there, the hard stuff that keeps the edge sharp. Also, it seems to keep it very toothy and aggressive when you're cutting. This is chock full of it. 15V means like 15% carbide volume, I believe, or something close to that. And with the way Sean Houston and Spyderco did the heat treat on this, it deburrs very well. Deburring may not be a term you're used to, but it's basically when you're sharpening a knife, you're getting some excess steel as it folds over, and then all that excess steel at the edge that you need to clean off. The easier something is to deburr, the cleaner you can get the apex easier. And 15V, at least from my experience, has been able to do that. So that's covering the steel part of it. I've been using this all day at work, and I've really enjoyed this knife. I have had a lot of Yojimbo 2s, which is the bigger brother of this. Enjoyed those, but they never really stuck around for me. But this one, with its bigger handle, which fits my hand very well, I've gone over this in a previous video with my Microjimbo review from last year. It does not have the hollow grind as a Yojimbo too, but that doesn't really bother me. This cuts just fine with like a nice flat grind. The tip doesn't seem as delicate, but a lot of people are surprised by how delicate the Yojimbo 2 tips are, but it's kind of a given with the way it's made because it gets so thin at the tip. But this one hasn't had any issues. It just fits perfectly in my hand. No hot spots with this. This one I do like holding, even though it's cheap FRN. FRN meaning the material of the scales. But I do get a bit of a hot spot from where that spoon clip is on the inside of my palm right here, where that pocket clip hits. So after what that means is after like a lot of tough cutting or long-term cutting, my palm can get kind of sore. Is that important to you? I don't know. Ergonomics and comfort mean a lot for me. So like I said, all I can do is speak on this stuff from my experience and my perspective. I can't speak for everybody. But if you guys like worn clips, a nice user steel, a nice poppy, nice detent, you know, it's pretty fidgety too, and it just kind of hides in your pocket. It's got a wire clip. This thing is a little bit tight because of how short it is, but I do like the wire clips. I'm not one who wants to dress around their knives or dress them up and upgrade them for no use, no reason other than to look cool. I don't mind the G10. Will I ever upgrade this? I don't know. Will I ever upgrade this? Probably not if I have to spend money on it, because this just works fine. But yeah, it sits pretty deep in your pocket. All you really see is the hump if you stick it all the way in there. It is a little tough to pull off of looser garments because of how the texture of the G10 is, plus how tight this thing is because of the shortness of it. But that's never really bothered me. The main things for my knife are comfort and utility, and this thing just encompasses all that. I loved the Microjimbo when it was first released by Spyderco last year, an S30V. S30V is a fine steel. I had great results sharpening that and using it. But if I like 15V, and I like the attributes of it, I like the longer edge retention and the more aggressive edge it can take, why not hop over to it? I sold the S30V because I don't need 2 models of the same knife. I'm not a collector. I can't speak on collectors. I do know these are sprint runs as far as the 15V models, so once they're made and sold, they're not going to be sold unless you find them on a secondary. So whatever they have to dealers now, and whoever's bought them, that's all they're going to probably make as far as I understand. So you guys can see it's got a little bit rough today. Today I used it to cut out some things off of some pallet wrap because I had to, and I mean, this thing just goes through like butter. It sharpened it. Factory edge wasn't too bad. Actually, it was pretty bad. It had a lot of burr left on it. Burr meaning that little piece of steel hanging off the actual edge, which sometimes may feel sharp, but once that breaks off, or it can inhibit actual clean cutting. So I ended up sharpening it. You guys can see the plunge line is all the way to the back. And this was done at 17 degrees, nothing too crazy. This one is at, I think, 15 or 16 degrees. And I think this one is at 15 degrees as well. This one I've sharpened a pretty good bit compared to the rest of them. You guys can see how much steel I've lost from that little line there. It's ridden up pretty high, but still very slicey. But I do love Warncliffs and, you know, the sheep style blades. They're just, for what I want to cut and how I want to cut, they just work best for me. And I do love this size. And, you know, Delica has been my favorite for a while, but this thing's been in my pocket almost every day. But like one day when I decided to carry the PM2. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, guys. I'm just trying to give you like a perspective of why I love this so much. Like I said, just simply put, size, steel, comfort, and it's just, you know, if you're like, this is just strictly utility user knife for me. I'm not looking at it for defense. I'm not looking at it for anything else other than the cut stuff that I need at work and around the house. If I need to cut food, I have knives for that. I don't know if this would be a great food prep knife, maybe for fruit, but not really for meat and stuff like that. So this isn't gonna, you know, take over stuff like that. This is just a knife for work for me. Plus, I love Sean Houston, who helped the heat treat protocol for the 15V. This is actually from him right there. So this is pretty much a forever knife, and it's performed. There's no hype around it as far as I mean, it does exactly what it claims to. You guys can also see the hardness testing marks there as 3 dots. Basically, they see how hard a steel is by pressing it against with like a special bit, and it's calculated or calibrated for a certain reading, and this one's averaging at 66.0 HRC. And again, if you guys aren't into steel, that might mean nothing to you, but basically it's a very hard steel. A harder steel is going to be a little bit more brittle, but it does increase edge retention, a little bit lesser toughness, but comparatively everything's different. Like a 2 points in HRC difference may not mean as much in one steel than another, but I would assume this is around 65, 66 as well. Definitely feels that way. Deburr's super easy. Some steels you have to go up 2 or 3 stones and slowly polish up to deburr easily. This one I used 1 stone and sharpen it, 1 strop. I used the F400 or J400 CBN stone, and then 1 micron stroppy stuff on leather. That's all I did to sharpen this guy up at. I profiled it and everything with it. It did take a minute, just because this, with this being sharpened on a factory belt, it's done freehand. It's not going to be all perfectly 17 degrees, whereas I use a clamp system. So even if it's 17 degrees or not, everything's all uniform. But it took a minute to kind of profile that to that exact angle that I had it set to. But once I was set, it took the edge great, and it deburred super clean and easily. And the edge is still nice and crisp and bitey, even though I've been using it all week. Nothing super tough. I'm kind of overdoing the edge retention test like I used to. I'm not going to sit there and count how many feet of cardboard a certain knife does. I just don't have the time or patience for it. But I do know from real world experience this thing does last a while. Oops. And so does K390. This is another discontinued knife. Is it worth anything? Absolutely not. I've not really beat the tar out of it, but it's definitely not in any kind of new condition. You can see how dirty the scales are and how much steel I've used so far on there. No one's going to want to buy this. So if you guys were buying it for resale value, perhaps this will go up since they're not making any more. If you want to use a great user and you like smaller knives, you like Wharncliffes, you like utility blades, you like comfortable knives, this will be a good one. But otherwise, that's really my convoluted way of saying it's a good buy. I can't guarantee you'll like it, but if my perspective kind of helped you make or helped you decide if this might be right for you before they're all sold out, let me know. Let me know what you guys think about this knife and this model. Even if you can't get the 15V, I think the S30V is a great knife. It's not super. I mean, the blade's a little bit smaller, but the handle's big enough to fill your hand up. I have medium-sized hands, by the way. And it could be an emergency defensive knife if you need to, but I don't really like looking at folders as a defensive knife, if that makes sense. I'd rather use a fixed blade as more of a get-off-me tool, not a knife fight tool. I don't want to get in a knife fight. Stuff like this is more of a get-off-me, disengage, and get away from trouble kind of knife. That's my perspective. Obviously, yours may be different. And all of these are, all good user knives. What was I saying? And another great thing, with the blade length, I think it's like 2.5 inches. This thing's going to be pretty much illegal in pretty much every state, I think. So that's another bonus for it, whereas the PM2 may not be, and this may be kind of borderline legal in all states. But this one, for sure. Other than like the UK, I'm talking about the US. But I'll stop rambling. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know if that makes sense, and y'all have a good night.